The dark web is arguably the most interesting topic that exists on the internet. And it's one of those things that, if you are a nerd like me, you have definitely pondered about before. And it's a topic that we're going to be going through today. Uh, Obviously, not in great detail because it's very dangerous, but let's go down this little rabbit hole known as the dark web. Shout out to DarkWeeb695, who was the one that inspired this idea. It actually came through the comments 2 days ago, so the 2 days prior to the actual recording of this, and you'll probably, by the time that you see it, it'll be 3 days ago. Um, but yeah, this was inspired by a user comment, and as soon as I saw it, I'm like, dude, of course, I can't believe I didn't even think of that. So the comment is, can you make a video on the dark web intro? And that's what we're gonna be doing today. The outline looks like this. So we're gonna really analyzing what is the actual dark web. Then we're gonna do a dark web versus the deep web comparison. Then what is done on the dark web, so all the different activities that are done on the dark web. What web addresses are on the dark web, and the FBI's list of dark web websites that is actually exists, believe it or not. So that's what we're going to be going through today. I will give you a quick disclosure. This is going to be an overview. We're not going deep into any of these topics because the details would get me banned, flagged, arrested, all of those things, because this is illegal. The dark web is not a legal thing. And to disclose any information on it publicly is you're asking for it, basically. Proceed with caution. I do recommend that if you're going to go look further into this, that you do definitely proceed with caution and proceed at your own risk. Because, like I said, it's illegal, it's dangerous. There's a lot of things that go on the dark web. There are a lot of things that happen out there that you definitely don't want to be a part of. And yeah, that's my disclosure to you. So, what is the dark web? The dark web is a hidden part of the internet that's not accessible with regular search engines like Google or Bing or Microsoft Edge or Firefox, anything like that. It's a secret club type of an environment that has its own entrance requirements, typically meaning you actually have to get invited to go to these places, or somebody needs to give you the address offline or manually or something like that. It's not something that you can search for, right? That's basically what it means. It's not a search engine accessible type of an environment. To access it, you need a special browser like the Tor Onion browser, which helps anonymize your activity and mask your location, but to a certain extent, because as long as you understand the endpoints, as long as you know what the endpoints are coming out of the Tor browser, you can kind of backtrack and reverse engineer who's the person that's using the Tor Onion browser. So it's not fully secure, but it's better than doing it on Google, for example. The three specific characteristics is that it's hidden and unindexed. So all the websites are hidden, they're not indexed, you're not going to find them on Google. They require special software, for example, the Tor Onion browser, and they focus on anonymity, meaning secrecy, right? This is one of the big things about the dark web. That obviously it doesn't make sense to go on there and actually have your actual identification on there or who you are as a person. It's like it's kind of a big deal to be anonymous, right? And then there's the comparison of the dark web versus the deep web. And this is actually something that I didn't even think about when I was doing my research on this. I didn't realize that there is actually a difference between the deep web and the dark web. So what is the deep web? So if we looked at the surface web, the public internet, as part of the internet that you get to see every day, websites that you can go through and you can find through search engines. The deep web is the really big part of the internet that search engines can't index. So it's like the surface of the web is the tip of the iceberg, and then you have the deep web being the giant hidden part below the water that isn't visible and accessible. And if you can imagine, there's literally billions of web pages that are publicly available. So you can imagine how big that hidden part of the deep web of the internet is. Then you also have the prime examples of things that are in the deep web. So we have private accounts on social media. So if your Facebook profile is not public, if it's private, then it's not going to be indexed. So you're actually technically a part of the deep web if you have a private Facebook profile. If you have password protected pages on your websites or the bank account information, things like that, those things are not accessible publicly. They should not be accessible, at least. And that's also part of the deep web. Then you have legal databases that require subscriptions for people to get into, either a paid subscription or some kind of privatized subscription. All of those things fall under the deep web. And of course, there's inactive web pages, right? Then you have the dark web. So the dark web is a very small portion of the deep web that's deliberately hidden, right? So it's accessible, but it's hidden. And to get access to it, you typically need some kind of an invite or somebody to actually share the link with you. You can think of it as a secret club with special software required to enter. You can't access it with regular browsers like Chrome or Firefox. We already talked about that. And to access it, you need a special browser like Tor, which uses an encryption and anonymizes your activity. There's now other browsers as well that act like Tor. I think there's something called the Brave browser, and there's a few different ones that have proxies embedded in them that you can change your IP addresses, and it'll go through several different IP addresses as a proxy chain before it gets to where you want to go. So it doesn't actually share your specific IP address from your computer at your house. So it makes it difficult to track where you're going or who you are, where you came from, all of that stuff. So it requires this type of browser for you to even be able to get in. So even if you had the web address, you wouldn't be able to go there if you were doing it on Chrome or Firefox, because it requires a special type of browser to even be able to get in. Then you have an association with illegal activities because of the anonymity, and this is where it gets really, really dangerous, right? So it's not just some random place where people don't want to be seen or whatever. It's mostly considered the dark web because there's a lot of illegal stuff that's going on, and it can include literally selling drugs or stolen data or a lot of other stuff that I'll show you in a little bit. But there's a lot of stuff that happens on the dark web. And if we were to just look at a side-by-side comparison, this is kind of what it looks like. And I got this actually from an AI, the Google Gemini AI, and it gave me this little chart right here. So if you were looking at the features of accessibility, content, the size, and then the anonymity, the deep web isn't indexed by the search engines. The dark web requires special software to be able to access it. So you can get into the deep web from Google Chrome. It's just not indexed. It's not searchable. But to get to the dark web, you actually need a special software like Tor, Onion browser, or Brave, or something like that. Then you have the content. The content on the deep web is legitimate, but it's private content. The content on the dark web could be illegal content. And then you have the size of the deep web, and it's gigantic. It's the larger part of the internet, much bigger than the surface web, the stuff that's publicly accessible. And then the dark web is a tiny fraction of the deep web. So it's a small portion of the deep web that includes all of the illegal activities. And then you have anonymity. So the anonymity of the deep web varies based on the actual content that is trying to be viewed. The anonymity of the dark web, it's focused specifically on anonymity. So not only do you need a special browser, but most likely, if you go download the Tor browser, it doesn't mean that some of the stuff that I'm going to share with you are going to be visible. And it's one of those things that you need. Think of it as a secret club. Legitimately, you need a secret club type of an environment where somebody's going to share the link with you. And that's the other thing. It's like, even if I had it, it would be so stupid for me to share it publicly on a video like this, because I would get arrested, right? By the way, I don't have it and I don't want it. It's one of those things that, like, I'm terrified of going into the dark web because I don't want to see certain things that I can't unsee anymore. And I have a photographic type of a memory, and if I see something, it's just very, very hard for me to get rid of. So anyways, that's kind of the comparison between the dark web and the deep web, and then just kind of looking at both sides of it. So now let's look at what is actually done on the dark web. And this is where it gets just, whew. So ransomware, this is kind of an entry point, not really that big of a deal. It's basically malware that holds a system or a network at ransom. And if somebody wants to get access to their data or the access to their system, they have to pay the deployer of the ransomware some kind of a ransom. So they got to pay money to be able to get access to their data or their system or their network. Ransomware, fairly simple to understand. Then you have botnets. Botnets are actually very interesting in the sense that a lot of people don't even know that their computer is a part of a botnet. So botnets have been, it's like an accumulation, an aggregation of a lot of IP addresses, let's say 50,000, 100,000 IP addresses that don't belong to a certain individual. They actually belong to the public in a lot of cases. And those people in the public don't know that their IP address belongs to the botnet. And then what happens is that somebody, the client, says, hey, I need you to go do a DOS attack, a denial of service attack against my competitor. And they hire this person who owns the botnet to send out all of this traffic. And then all of the traffic goes out at the very same time in a matter of a minute. And then that botnet does this particular activity. And then they go in and crash this person's server. Or they want to spam somebody's Twitter page, for example, with 1 million negative comments or a lot of political jargon that may sway the opinion of people in a different way. It's, all it takes is 100 or 200 tweets to go out in a short period of time for a topic to be trending. So you can imagine that if somebody wanted to do a specific PR campaign, that they could go hire somebody from a botnet and say, hey, I want you to go out and send out, 10,000 tweets in the next 5 minutes that says this. And then they put out a really malicious statement about a particular person, and the damage is pretty much already done. Because even if it's not true, they say that there is no publicity as like a bad publicity, or no publicity is bad publicity, something like that. But that's not true. Because if you say something that's genuinely damaging to somebody's reputation, even if it's not true, and they go through court to prove that it's not true, because of the conversation that's gone on in the culture, the damage has already been done. There's this great book called Trust Me, I Am Lying by Ryan Holiday, where he explains how this is done. And he goes through a couple of campaigns inside that book that explain exactly what happens in these types of environments. And that doesn't even include a botnet. So imagine if you used a botnet to do these types of campaigns, the kind of damage that you could do against somebody. Then you have a darknet market. So this is, anything that illegally you want to purchase, you can imagine it being here. It goes from illegal drugs to a variety of different things, data, whatever it may be, and you can purchase a lot of that stuff on a marketplace in a darknet. Then we have Bitcoin services. This is kind of interesting, and this could be, it could involve a lot of different activities. So it could be something along the lines of somebody selling Bitcoin mining malware that, if you want me to mine Bitcoin for you, I'll do it, and we'll use somebody else's super strong computer because it requires a really strong computer to actually do it. That could be one thing. It could be exchanging dollars or like fake currency for actual Bitcoin. So I'll send you, $1 million in USD bills that look, pretty perfect in exchange for Bitcoin. Anything that has to do with Bitcoin being used as the currency for the transaction, or for the end goal, right? So that's a big one. You have hoaxes and unverified content. So a lot of this stuff it's pretty big, and it kind of falls under the bad PR type of a campaign as well. What is it? Something conspiracy theories. I was about to be like something theories because I couldn't think of the conspiracy word, but conspiracy theories usually start in the dark web, and it's usually information about, this is what so-and-so organization does, this is what the government of this place does, and this is what they did, and all of the information that is hidden from public view because of the fact that it would do extreme damage to whatever entity it's about. All of those things get shared on the dark web. And then you have hacking groups and services. This is very, very well known. The MITRE ATT&CK database has a lot of these guys that have been previously caught, or at least they've been tracked to be stated on the MITRE database. They may not have necessarily been caught by the authorities, but their activities were now disclosed on the MITRE ATT&CK database, something called an Advanced Persistent Threat, APT. So APT groups are a part of this. APT services are a part of this, which means you hire an organization of hackers to go and attack a company for the next year, just to be able to get in and to get some information. And that's a really big deal, and I can't imagine that would be a small type of a transaction, and that's probably in very, very large demand by people who have a lot of money that want to hire hacking groups to do a lot of things for them. Illegal pornography. I'm not going to disclose anything, but imagine what legal pornography kind of is, and then imagine what illegal pornography is. That's probably, you can understand what that means. Terrorism, and there's a list of cyber terrorists that's on the FBI's website that you can go see, and they have their mugshots and a lot of different things about them as well. So terrorism is a big deal as well, that you can just go buy terrorist groups. They're not necessarily hacker groups, because hacker groups specifically work in the web or the cyberspace, whereas terrorist groups can go and, you know, bomb a facility, right? So it's pretty different, but both of them could be bought and sold, right? And then social media, and this one is again one of those kind of like all-encompassing things. It could be a botnet, it could be buying somebody's social media login, and or trying to get into somebody's social media login, trying to buy social media followers maybe, although that really doesn't need to be sold on the dark web, because there's so many things that are available in that. So it's like a really, really big deal. And to kind of show you where we're at with this was all taken from the Wikipedia page for the dark web, and you can kind of see they're already making a reference to the Onion Tor browser, and then we have the different types of content and everything that's bought and sold and transacted upon inside of the dark web, and social media is one of these things. So within the dark web, there exists emerging social media platforms similar to those on the public web, known as dark web social networks. They work like a regular social networking site, where members can have customizable pages, have friends, like posts, blogs. Traditional platforms have begun to make dark web versions of their websites to address problems associated with the traditional platforms and continue their service in all areas of the World Wide Web. Unlike Facebook, the privacy policy of dark web social networks requires that members reveal absolutely no personal information and remain anonymous. So that's kind of the other part of that. Continuing on with our slideshow here. So let's move on to the next piece. What web addresses are on the dark web? And this is an interesting one. So anything with a .onion extension apparently is a dark web website. And this is an actual article from the FBI's website that says more than 400 .onion addresses, including dozens of dark market sites targeted as part of the global enforcement action on Tor network, have been caught. And this is the direct link to that article if you want to go read the full article. I'm going to take some excerpts out of it just to show it to you. But before we continue, I want to kind of show you what that actually would look like if we were to search for it. So if I do a basically Google dork or a Google hacking search right here. So we do the site, and the site is going to include, so this is the parameter, right? So you say site, colon, and then you put whatever site you want for it to actually show up. And then if you do *.onion, it means anything that has an extension of .onion at the end of it, and nothing shows up. There's literally nothing that's available out of the millions of websites. Just to give you an idea, if I did .com, then we would get, I don't know how many millions of websites that would show up. And it just keeps going. And the old version of Google would show you how many different pages were at the top, but apparently now it doesn't show them anymore. and you can have a lot of different websites show up for a lot of different things. If I did .gov, right, a lot of different websites show up that have an extension of .gov, Illinois.gov, SSA, SAM.gov, USEmbassy.gov, all of these things, right? So you have a lot of different websites that will show up. But if we just do .onion, nothing shows up. There's literally nothing. And it says try Google Search Console. And that's basically the only thing that would show up over here. And that's really interesting when you think about it, right? So nothing exists for .onion websites. And that's the thing that we have that's kind of the addresses, I guess, that are dedicated to the dark web. And so if we looked at some of the details of that FBI article, these are some of the websites that they've previously caught and have obviously taken down at this point. And so look at specifically just the address right here, right? So Pandora, whatever .onion. This is not something that you would ever remember. This is something that somebody would have to share with you. Blue Sky, please, .onion. Hydra, something .onion. It's like there's a lot of random, look at this, Cloud9. This is all random characters. Maybe not random, maybe like this has been ciphered and so it went through some kind of a cryptograph and that actually stands for something. But these are all websites that previously existed that were caught and are no longer up. And they were all dark markets similar to the Silk Road 2.0 marketplace, offering an extensive range of illegal goods and services for sale, including drugs, stolen credit card data, counterfeit currency, and fake identity documents. Then we have the Executive Outcomes. This is their domain, which specialized in firearms trafficking with offerings including assault rifles, automatic weapons, sound suppressors. The site stated that it used secure dropship locations throughout the world so that anonymity was ensured throughout the shipping process, and that all serial numbers from the weapons it sold were removed and refilled with metal. So to try to keep the identity of people who bought them anonymous, right? Then you have Fake Real Plastic at this domain name, which offered to sell counterfeit credit cards encoded with stolen credit card data and printed to look just like real Visa and MasterCards. And the cards were guaranteed to have at least $2,500 left on the credit card limit and could be embossed with any name that you want on the card. How sick is that? That's fucking insane. And finally, we have Fake ID, which offered fake passports from a number of countries, advertised as high quality and having all security features of original documents. The site further advertised the ability to affix almost all kinds of stamps into the passports to make it legitimate. And actually, this is the last one, which is Fast Cash, which is one of the Bitcoin services available at this, and a Super Notes counter was available at this extension or at this domain, which offered to sell counterfeit euros and US dollars in exchange for Bitcoin. And these are actual domains, actual websites that existed on the dark web that were marketplaces for a variety of different services. And if you wanted to go ahead and check out the FBI list of dark websites, this is the link to it. This is the actual article right here that I pulled from, literally from FBI.gov. So this is an FBI live article that anybody could access. So I didn't do any kind of, research that I wasn't supposed to do for this. This is publicly available and you're more than welcome to check it out if you're interested in it. And then there's, of course, the cyber most wanted criminals of the FBI who are also listed on their website. And you can go find this information as well. And this is a pretty big list, as you can imagine. And it has individuals and it has actual hacking groups, right? So it's like there's a lot of different APT. See, look, APT 10 group, Advanced Persistent Threat 10 group. So there's a lot of APT groups as well as individuals that are on this list that are, again, just available on the FBI's public website. And it's an interesting world. It's not for the faint of heart. And if you're going to go further into it, I would recommend that you number one, like really think about what you want to do. Take precaution if you actually do want to go into the dark web for whatever reason. It's not something that you should approach lightly. It's an interesting topic to talk about, but to actually take action on it and to go into that world, yeah, it's scary. In my mind, it's scary. It's something that I don't want to do. I don't want to see what's on there because I don't want to accidentally stumble upon images that I can never get out of my head, or I don't know, just a variety of different things. So that was it for the dark web intro video. As I mentioned in the beginning, I wasn't going to go deep into this. I just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an introduction as was requested by one of our members in our community. And hopefully it was, enlightening in a certain way. And hopefully you learned some things about it and you got some cool trivia type information. But I do encourage you to be careful if you do move ahead with this and tread softly. So if you have any ideas that you want me to cover in future videos, or if you want to just be a part of our community and learn everything there is to know about cybersecurity and ethical hacking and penetration testing, all that stuff, I do encourage you to like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell and drop a comment if you have any video ideas or if you have any questions that you want me to go over or anything like that. It's your boy Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker / protector. And I hope you got a little bit of entertainment and value from this video. Love, peace, and chicken grease. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. I will see you in the next video. Later.